Hmm.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to another Networking Hub South Asia. And the second time ever, we're running the Nuts and Bolts session on transformational travel. Amit is here, who led the whole thing, 2 weeks ago. And this time, we're trying to continue with the storytelling on another level, on how to take that into another level, and taking on the topic of trying to conquer Instagram. And Instagram has become one of the more popular social media channels to push stories through. And we think that it's an important tool to use, but really a lot of us in the industry know that Instagram is important, have a feeling that Instagram should be used, but how to use it is something that we always struggle with. And especially in the case of transformational travel, how to actually use it for transformative travel and how to take that forward. That is the topic for today's session. And we are very honored and lucky to have Nishant and Pooja here, who are Nishant is setting up a company based on transformational travel. She's done a design course, is certified on transformational travel design, and she uses Instagram quite a lot. I know that much. And so she would be a good person to actually combine the two together to try and talk about Instagram and how to use it for transformational travel. And we're very lucky to have Pooja Nataraj here from PD Junction. Is it PN Junction? Sorry. And
PNJXN.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
PNJXN.
You'll have to explain that a little bit later. They are a specialist on social media and storytelling and how to take that. So really, we've got all the technical know-how here, and we look forward to a really interesting session. I'll hand it over to. So today's session will work with Nishant leading it, and then Pooja going into the real technicals of it. Then Nishant will probably just summarize a little bit based on transformational travel. And then we'll open up for all the questions that you'll have, which I'm sure will be many. This session will be recorded and will eventually be out on the transformational travel channels as well. So other people can also learn from it. So over to you, Nishant.
All right. I'm going to share my screen while I talk in the background. Hang on. Everyone can see that? Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to kind of jump right into it. As we all know, Instagram right now is extremely popular. And I think the best way to approach it for your business, travel business, or any other business for that matter, is I think you need to think about your own experience with the app. That's the first thing to look, the first way to look at it is that. How you're scrolling through Instagram, you're enjoying a curated feed. Of whatever, I don't know, it could be animals, it could be some sort of brands, it could be your personal friends you're following, all of that. And nobody made that, nobody made you follow those people. It was your own choice. You liked what they were posting, you decided to follow them. And but the question you need to ask is, why are you following them? What is it that is keeping you coming back to look and continue following them? That is the kind of question that you need to first ask when you are trying to design your own content for Instagram. Of course, this is like just a little bit of data where Instagram has a significant impact on the travel industry. 70% of travel enthusiasts use Instagram to share their travel plans. 67% use the platform to find inspiration for new journeys, and 61% find things to do on Instagram while they are traveling. And it's become a perfect marketing tool for visual storytelling. Of course, we're going to go into that, the visuals, how exactly to use the visuals in the right way, as opposed to just using visuals, but we'll go into those details later. And as we know, roughly 800 million users log on to Instagram at least once a month. And everyone right now, travel related content is very, very popular. So this presentation is going to help us deal with how we can stand out. How can we, take our brands and make it a little more unique. I believe that for anything, whether it is Instagram, the way you do it for your own business, you write down goals, right? What you want to achieve. Similarly, with Instagram also, I believe you need to first start with writing down your goals. Common goals are increasing brand awareness, building a community, showcasing company culture and values, selling products and services. So why do you write down your goals? Because you and your team can then keep going back and monitoring, so it kind of keeps it in check, and it reminds you why you are using Instagram. What is it that you're trying to do? What are the messages you're trying to, get out there? Right. So this is my introduction. I'm going to hand it over now to Pooja, who's going to take you all into the actual nuts and bolts of how to put Instagram together. Over to you, Pooja. I will stop sharing. Hang on.
Thank you, Nishant. I'm just sharing my screen.
Yeah, may I introduce you?
Yes, please, Shobha.
Yes, thank you. So Pooja actually, does a lot of work for Rare India, and I think from the time, we've always done, being in a marketing communication company, we've always done social media, and it was mostly I handled it with the team in the office. But from the time Pooja came on board, she completely changed the look and feel of the narrative. Narrative we always had, but the way the narrative was presented, the way the story went, and also the little nuances of social media, where just like Nishant rightly pointed out, the brand awareness, the values that a brand has, it just went on to another level. And we've been working with her. I happily recommend her to everybody in the community who are very, very, we're thrilled with every thing. There's a design aspect and there's a storytelling aspect. The great thing is that Pooja actually comes from she's been working in travel for some time. She worked with some very fine boutique hotels, so she knows the jargon. So, and the kind of writing they do, it kind of straddles both the business part of it, which is the industry, with some of the key elements that the business partners as a hotelier or as a travel agent that you need to know. Plus, the visuals make great sense and give a lot of credence to the products and the services that we offer. So, just this introduction to Pooja and Nandish, who've really done a fantastic job. And I think there's nobody in the industry currently who kind of hold on to social media in that sense. Telling authentic industry related stories with a huge focus on sustainability. Usually the sustainability things are a little bit of a side story somewhere in this thing. The way they put it and the way they brought the brand together to marry all our visuals, if you see on our website, like they did the touchstones, which is basically to code all the elements of sustainability so that it becomes easier for us to say why is a hotel with Rare and creating a legend, and all that has been her idea. Over to you, Pooja. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shobha. That was a lovely introduction, and likewise, I think we've learned so much over the last 2 years and grown together. So thank you. Thanks a lot. So again, taking from Nishant's point, just a moment. Yeah. So I've just put together some questions that we need to answer, and I think that kind of forms the basis of your social media plan, your social media marketing strategy. And you need to answer them very honestly. You need to answer them truthfully, thinking about your business, thinking about your goals and what you really want to do. And that kind of forms the entire basis of communications and even the nuts and bolts for that matter. So undoubtedly today, social media is hygiene. We all know that every company needs to be on it. And let's assume you want to do it. You need to do it. And you're wondering where to start. And I would suggest by answering these questions, these 7 questions. And the first question is why? Why your business? In fact, this is not just a social media question, but this is a marketing question itself. And if you can answer that question, make a document of why your business, what is the solution that you're trying to offer, what problems you're trying to solve. I think that a lot of your content, a lot of your social media is already actioned. Why do your customers love you? Why do they keep coming back to you? And I would suggest reading this book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which talks about every aspect, not just about leadership, but about your own self, about your own career. Why are you in this company? Particularly social media marketing managers. What are they doing? What goals are they trying to achieve in their own career, in their own professions? And all of that forms the basis of social media. Do they connect with you at an emotional level? Who and where are your customers? That's second point, and really, really important. And also from how to do it, the nuts and bolts of it, and your competitors, of course. So if we talk about a customer, and I think this is very important even in marketing, but more so in social media, and I'll get to that why, a typical buyer persona or creating a set of buyer persona or your customers is very important, and you need to know them really, really well. You need to know who they are, what is their age, what is their occupation, what is their education, what is their personality, what do they like to buy, where do they, what are their interests, what do they love, what are their concerns. And I have just put together from transformation travel or a sustainability perspective. They're concerned about waste management, poor waste management. They're concerned about vegan-friendly or keto-friendly options, things like that. It is good to put this together because that then helps you on social media to reach this person, because there is no point in reaching everyone. Yes, if you are trying to spread a message, you're trying to talk about a particular philosophy, then yes, it is important to reach everyone, but it is first important to reach your target audience, and it is good to understand your target audience intimately. And again, from a hospitality perspective, if you're say a coffee plantation retreat, it is good to understand who your customers are, what walks of life are they coming from. Maybe they're an entrepreneur, or they're a mother, or they're a workaholic, and you can actually write down what these people are in their lives, what do they like, where do they go, what kind of brands they follow, and this will actually help your social media case. So get to know them very intimately and understand everything about your customers, put it down in a piece of paper. And again, as I said, from a transformation travel perspective, find out if your customers are interested in sustainability. You can do all of that on social media, on Instagram. You can target them based on sustainability, based on demographics. When I say demographics, I mean people working in that industry. If you want to target people who are working for the UNEP or who are working for WWF, you can do that. You can do targeting based on interest. People who are into eco-friendly products, people who follow, say, Fab India, for instance. You could even do based on behaviors. Frequent travelers, people who travel abroad often, or people who travel within the country, people who prefer high value goods, people who prefer luxury products. So all of this targeting can be done on social media. And I think for that, it's very important for you to know your customers very intimately. 3, are you ready for a digital transformation? And I think, although this question may seem a little futile at this point because I'm giving this presentation, but it is extremely important to ask this question for every business, whether or not you have made that digital transformation, whether or not you're on Instagram. And I'll tell you why. Big budgets and teams will not guarantee a transformation. That's for sure. We've seen that. What really is important is that your team has to be aligned with the change. Your team should understand that the digital transformation is important for their company as well as for them in their professional life. Are you ready to publish? Are you ready to be consistent? And are you ready to be patient? These are extremely important questions when you ask, you need to ask when you're doing social media, because consistency is extremely important. If you do a post today and you don't do it for the next few days, or you do it after a week, or you do it once in a month, it is not going to land you anywhere. And that is not the right way to do it. You have to set your targets on and your goals of what you're going to actually put out. And for that reason, I would in fact suggest even putting together a social media calendar, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So it's important to have that consistency. In fact, some products or clients or brands might need to talk about their social media communications thrice a day. Some people may just want to do it once a day. Some people may want to do it alternative day, but it's okay. But keep it consistent. That's extremely important. And of course, at the end of the day, having patience, waiting for the results, tracking your analytics and going the right way is very important. Are you ready to face trolls and criticism? Social media is an extremely democratic platform, and when you are right on it and you're doing well, you're bound to face criticisms, you're bound to face trolls. Are you ready for it? Are you ready to entertain? Are you ready to educate? All of this is a part of social media communications. You cannot just have a one-way communication today on social media. It is a two-way channel where you need to educate, you need to ask your fans or your followers or your customers who are following you on social media, if they really like the content that you're putting out there. If you're educating them, are they really being educated, or is it just humdrum? So you need to entertain as well at times, because I mean, most people on social media come for entertainment, not that they come to consume content or to read something. They would go to other platforms, or they'd go to Google, or they'd go to Quora or Wikipedia for that matter, if they want to read something, but they also want to be entertained. So you need to understand and have that fine balance of entertainment, education, and of course, talking about your brand, because that is important, sending out your brand message. So for that reason, I would suggest having a social media calendar in place where you know what are you doing on Monday, what are you doing on Tuesday, what are you doing on Wednesday, as per the popular hashtags, Monday motivation, transformation Tuesday, wisdom Wednesday, and you can curate content based on that. And I would highly recommend having this content in place at least 15 days or to 1 month in advance, so that you know what you're doing. Social media is not as random as one thinks. Yes, it is random for a consumer. If I am in my personal space and I see something nice, I click a picture and I put it out there on social media, that is random. Yes, that is also important for a brand to do. But having said that, you need to have this foundation in place. You need to have a plan in place, put it out there, and then you can spend time putting out random things, putting out things spontaneously, getting a picture from the team that's on ground, and then you put it out there saying this just in or just spotted, for instance. 4, are you a conversational brand? Very, very important, because every brand has a voice. Some brands are very formal, some are casual, some are a mix of formal and casual. So you need to understand if you really want, do you really want to be a conversational brand? And that is a very important question to answer if you really want to be on social media and if you want social media to work for you. Or would you like to be conversational? If you're not, would you like to be? So, well, what is the business case for Facebook and Instagram or social media in one sentence? We all waste time here. I mean, we all know about the pillow challenge from the quarantine or the Dalgona coffee. All of this is entertainment. But the point is your brand aligned to be a part of this trend? I mean, do you really want to be a part of such a trend? This is a question that you need to answer. Not necessary that you need to be a part of every trend that's on social media. You can pick and choose your trend, and you can even start your own trend for that matter. If you have a tribe of followers, you can start your own trend. So how do you, why would your customers pay attention to you? Does it make sense for you to become conversational? Does it achieve company goals? Extremely important to answer, because you are investing time and money and effort in building your social media brand presence. Is it really achieving your company goals? What are those goals? You need to list those things down. Well, it worked for these guys, Dunzo. It worked for Paperboard. Brilliant. I love their communication. Can it work for you? You need to understand that. You need to write down your risks, the risk of investment into social media. What are your goals before you actually take it on? So you can try to give you examples of some really, really good Instagram communication, taking from Shobha's Beautiful World, Beautiful Planet, sorry. It is a brilliant way to have conversations online. You can even invite people from your followers, from your fans who are logged in to come and join the conversation. It's a really good way of doing it, Instagram live sessions. Running a contest, for instance, that is also a really good way of having a conversation, because running a contest will make you talk to your followers, get them to speak back to you, talk to their friends about your brand. So that is also a very good way of doing social media and having a conversation on it. And 5, very, very important, like what Nishant was talking about, and I think she's going to talk more about this from a transformation travel perspective. What is your source of authentic content? You need to develop and curate authentic and rich content to fuel up your social media. And what, I mean, of course, something that your clients would truly value. And what is your fuel? Well, a lot of people, since I'm a part of an agency, tell me that you're an agency and it's your job to bring up the content or to give us, to write the content or to curate the content. And I completely disagree. I think that it is the onus of the brand, the company, because it is your company. You know what message you want to put out. You have to put that brief, that guideline out there, and you have to spend time and effort on that. What is that? What are the type of content and what is the type of media that you can curate? Podcasts, long videos, short reels, rich images, long form articles. All of these can be a part of your social media or your Instagram, particularly Instagram communication. But you need to decide what part of these or what kind of communications or what kind of content are you willing to curate, or do you have the time or the effort or the money to curate? What is your style? Do you want to make it incisive? You want to make it reachable, viral, cornerstone? You need to decide that. What kind of visual type do you want to adapt? So this is, again, coming to the nuts and bolts. Static image versus carousels versus videos. To give you an example, static images are just images that you put out, a single image. And what I have here basically is the reach that each of these kinds of media has on Instagram. Static image has the lowest reach. Carousels have pretty good reach, and video has the best. So you need to decide which one you want to go for. If you have a lot of static images, you don't have videos, you can do a mix of static and carousels. But if you're able to actually put videos together, I would say go for videos, because videos have a very, very large reach, organic reach, and there are different ways that you can put out videos. You can put it up on stories, you can put it up on reels, on IGTV, and it becomes a very, very important part of your social media content. Now, image to text ratio. This is also a question that I have to answer clients repeatedly. People ask me, why can't we just do creatives? And yes, I know that creatives look good, but I will tell you where you need to use creatives and where you should use just images. In your regular social media communication that you're going to do every day, you're going to put up a post or two every day, I would advise against using creatives. Put out stunning pictures. Choose the best of the best and put out pictures, write a great narrative, put good captions and hashtags. But when you're doing a campaign on Instagram, if you're doing inorganic boosting or you're trying to get more people to see, then you put your logo, you make a creative, because if you just boost an image, then you're missing out on a lot of branding and you're missing out on a lot of mileage that you can get out of spending that money, which is a marketing effort, which is actually media buying. There you can use creatives and make great visuals and creatives. But again, stick to 9:1 ratio. 9 image, 1 text. Because when you put a lot of text on your image, Instagram, even if you're paying for getting eyeballs on it, or you're getting paid to get, you're paying to get impressions on it, Instagram will withhold. So you will not reach as many people as you would if you would follow the 9:1 ratio. So here are some small examples of how you could actually talk about visual communication versus what you write, and also what type of content or what type of messaging you want to put. Social media is a really good way to talk about your staff, to talk about your team members, because your team is also on social media and they are likely to share. You can't really force people, because since social media is a very personal platform, I have from experience realized that you can't really force your team members to share every bit of content that you put. But if you actually talk about them, they're more likely to share it. They're going to put it on stories. So your post reaches a greater number of audience, a greater, larger audience base. These are carousels, like I was telling you about, where you could just scroll and there are 10 images. So to tell you a little trick about why carousels do well is one carousel post is equivalent to 10 posts. And I'll tell you why. Because if I go on Instagram and I'm looking up my feed and I find this post on Rare India and I see this first image and I'm like, wow, nice, I like it. Or maybe I'm too busy and I don't like it. And I keep scrolling and I get busy and I get back. And I see the second image from the same post. So it is actually 10 posts put into one post. So I would say that carousels are a great way of marketing, because you are appearing again and again and again, and you can show different things about your product on one post, which will keep coming back on your followers feed. So you're actually trying to get more and more eyeballs on this. So if you in fact go and notice, you will see that your carousel posts have more reach and engagement as opposed to your static posts. And of course, in videos are one of the best ways of marketing. And I think that we should use more and more videos, because videos are here to stay. It is a very easy way of consuming content. And also I would suggest using closed caption videos like the guys on Brute too, because what happens is that there is data and statistics that has come out from Instagram and Facebook that people mostly like to consume even videos in mute, about 80% of them. So, and they like to watch videos with closed captions because they don't want to really put out, because maybe they're in a family setup, or they're sitting in the office, they don't want to listen to the sound, but they do want to see what's there, they're curious. So if you put up closed captions on the video, it really helps them look at your video until the end. So that's another tip. Guides. So initially, Instagram hadn't opened guides to everyone. They had only opened it to a few select influencers who had X amount of followers, but now guides are open to everyone. And I think we should all leverage it. Guides, basically, it's a feature on Instagram that comes in the middle, not one of the first features. It comes in the middle where you can actually put out blogs. So you have a long form article. But the way to do a guide is not that you go there and you select fresh images and you put content. You have to put your blogs out. You have to plan this out very well. So that is why I said initially that's very important to plan your social media in the form of a calendar. So in your guide, what you do is you take bits and pieces of your blog, make posts out of them, regular posts out of them, and then you come and make a guide out of it. You put a little introduction to your guide, that can be done fresh. You put a little cover image to your guide, that is fresh, but everything else is pinned posts. So it basically is like a blog on Instagram with a lot of content and posts pinned from your own feed. You can even pin posts from other people's feed. So say to give an example of Rare, Rare could pin posts from their partner hotels if they're talking about, say, hotels in Ladakh, for instance. So they could pin posts from the Ladakh hotels. So on and so forth. Stories, very, very important, because stories also your followers kind of get nudged when you put up a story saying that this person has put up a story, why don't you go check it out? And it's a great way to keep communicating back even when your followers are not online. And there are different ways of doing stories. You could just put out a message, or you could just say that we are opening on so and so date, or this event is happening, or so and so. You could also have a conversation. You could ask them quizzes. You could ask them a question. You could do polls on stories. And I think that's a great way of engaging with your community. And you're also understanding a lot about your audience. You're understanding their choices, their preferences by doing this. Highlights, again, an extension of stories. These little things that you see here, they're called highlights. And it's really good to put the best about your brand on these highlights. And you basically pin the stories that have already gone out on your highlights, because stories generally disappear after 24 hours, but highlights are there to stay. So you basically pin your stories back onto your highlights. So when someone comes to your feed, onto your profile, and they click on the highlights, they know that this is about, maybe you could talk about your philosophies, or you could talk about the various hotels that you have in various places, or you could talk about an upcoming trip that's coming. So that's your highlights. What are your goals from social media? We've been talking about this. Nishant also talked about it. Extremely important for you to talk about your goals. Is it brand building? Is it getting loyal customers? Is it leads and sales? Is it all of it, a combination of all of it? And are these goals realistic? Do you really think that you can achieve all these goals from Instagram? If you think it's realistic, put down actionables. How can you achieve them? How can you focus on each of those goals and make those things happen? Are you ready to have a conversation with other brands on social media, which is basically collaboration? Are you ready to do influencer marketing? Are you ready to sign up with people who have done really well for themselves, who have an audience? And I would always say that the influenced make the perfect influencer. When I say the influence, I mean your own customers are your best influencers. Even if they may have 100 followers or 400 followers or 300 followers, they still have the strength to take forward your brand message. And I think that that should be a very important part of your engagement with your customers, getting them to spread your message, telling them use this hashtag and tag us and we will feature you. That is one way of doing it. And of course, when you talk about other influencers, if you want to say do an influencer engagement, it is very important to assess if that influencer is right for you. Because if you're talking about transformation travel and you are engaging with an influencer who may have 100,000 followers but has not even done a single post on transformation travel or sustainability, what is the point of engaging her? Because the audience is not going to understand, at least from the start of it. You'll have to first ease into it and then get your word out. So it's important for you to select and identify who you work with to put forward your brand message. And of course, using branded keywords, like I said, and hashtags to connect with your audience is very important on social media. And that is one way of trying to get earned media. When you're trying to push your own customers, your customers who love you, to say, use this, for rare views, hashtag rare India, hashtag conscious luxury travel, hashtag make it yours. We ask people to use this in their posts, and those who've used it, we actively share it on stories, we share it on our own feed, and that forms a good way of interacting with people in the trade, with your own customers, with influencers. Like I said, identify the right earned media. Not all influencers are the right influencers for your brand. Analytics. Finally coming to analytics. These are the 7 questions. Finally coming to analytics. And I think that is where digital and social media is so powerful, because you get such good analytics. You know exactly what is working for you. You know what is not working for you. And I think that we need to leverage that. And how to do it is the first step of the way is to set up Pixel on Facebook. Since Instagram, everything on Instagram is connected through your Facebook business manager. And this is a bit technical. Set up a business manager, set up your Pixel, which is connected to your website, which can actually bring out lookalike audiences from your website. When I say lookalike, I mean, basically you have 1,000 visitors on your website every month. With Pixel, you can say that along with those 1,000, I want another 1,000 who look very similar to these, or rather who behave very similar to these, who have similar buying or purchasing behaviors, who follow the same brands, who have a similar way of responding to things on digital media. And Facebook has a way of keeping track of these things. And that way you can actually make use of this to reach out to more similar audiences and build your brand. And yes, I've also heard this question, what is link in bio? So going back to the slide where I talked about the highlights, this is basically your link in bio. And this, in fact, can be customized, and you could put in a landing page, a temporary landing page where, and why, of course, why a link in bio? Because Instagram is not a very link-friendly platform. It's a very media-friendly platform. So you don't have a lot of links on it. You can't, because Instagram particularly doesn't want you to get out of Instagram. So they want you to be within that ecosystem. So there are no links there. So even on your posts, if you put a link, it doesn't really come as a link. It is just a text. You can't click on it. So the best way to get your audiences to come to your website is to put a little note on your post saying link in bio. To read more, link in bio. To book this offer, to get this offer, link in bio. And then you go when someone clicks on that link, they open something called a link tree. Or, I mean, there are many other platforms that you can use. Link in Bio is another platform. Later has its own link in Bio landing page platform. It is basically a landing page that has a link to all your articles and anything that anywhere that you want to redirect your followers to when they click on the link. So this is how the backend looks. It even gives you a little bit of an analytics saying how many people clicked on it, how many people viewed it, and things like that. So yes, finally summing up this session, I think that it's extremely important for us to ask that why. Not just why of your business, but why of social media. And when you answer that question, I think you'll finally come to the entire social media strategy and the plan in itself. That's about it from me. Thanks, everyone.
All right. I'm going to, I mean, that was really detailed. It was really good. I made some notes myself. So thanks for that, Pooja. I'm going to be sharing my screen now and very quickly just, touching upon how we can apply transformative principles, concentrating on content. Just a second. Right. I think we need to now understand that social media is in the driver's seat of the industry, and social media is dictating trends as far as travel and tourism is concerned. It's dictating trends all over in different industries. But keeping that in mind, we need to plan our content accordingly. We need to take advantage of the fact that if social media is dictating the trend, if Instagram is dictating a trend, we need to figure out how to use that to bring in transformative travel, changing the way you're communicating about what kind of travel you're selling. So one way to do it, I would say, is you plan content to complement current events. You are doing things keeping, for instance, right now we're keeping the pandemic in mind. I would say doing things like, if I'm promoting, for instance, for Ubuntu, if I'm talking about travel post-pandemic, I'm going to be keeping in mind people's mindset during the pandemic. What are they going to be looking for? What kind of breaks are they going to be looking for? What kind of transformations are they looking for? These stories are necessary to keep in mind when you're planning your content. And also, I would say a good strategy would be story driven and highlight. I mean, I know story right now is a very highly utilized word, and everyone's asking what the story is. But I think we need to stay true to the term when we are talking about story driven content and highlight resilience of sustainable tourism providers. When we are talking about say experiences and all of that, we need to keep resilience in mind, because resilience, I believe, does sell, and it helps people make a more meaningful choice before buying an experience or buying a trip. Now, sorry, just 1 second. I have, all right. How do you combine resilience with responsible tourism in content and drive back high value business? Whatever story you tell, be authentic. As Pooja also said earlier, you need to be authentic. You tell the good stories, you talk about the trials and tribulations also. And I think when you do that, you're connecting with your audience better. You're appealing to them on a more realistic sort of basis, right? You become more relatable that way, because you're not just there painting a good picture. For instance, if you are starting out a company, you talk about what made you start that company. What was your own transformation? If you have to highlight something negative happening in your life, why not? So travelers are going to appreciate you being candid about your truth. Then what is your purpose? You need to keep in mind, what is your purpose? Are you hoping to inspire travel back to a particular destination? Or did your business or your destination have, was hit so badly that you need to ask for some sort of help from donors, volunteers, etc. We need to figure this out, and we need to be, again, as it says, you need to be candid about it. You highlight precautions you're taking for health and safety, vaccination policies on the ground, and you talk about the community of that destination also, what they are doing, how they have been strong, how they have reacted to things, and how they are ready to welcome travelers back. These are all important stories that need to be highlighted in content that we are putting forward. And challenge. Now, again, for the lack of a better word, a story, we need to highlight something that needs to be urgently told. For instance, in Africa, where you have, or even in India, wildlife tourism was helping sustain various conservation projects. But the moment the pandemic hit, things changed and animals were in danger again. And I think the other day, Shobha, you had that chat with Loveleen, and you all spoke about the project that they undertook for Sundarbans. It's called Migrations, where I think they basically were trying to get more people to visit the Sundarbans. They needed the tourism to help them. These are stories that need to be addressed. These are things that we need to keep in mind. So there are challenges out there. I think it is, as tour operators or travel designers, etc., we need to bring those challenges out to the world so they can understand that when they go to a particular place, there is more to it. It is not just a fancy little picture, that they're looking at and that's where they're going to go. Then I think we need to focus on the people, on the location, on the experience. And when I say focus on people, I mean, when you're telling a story, you choose the right people to communicate it. I mean, if I'm sitting here in Bombay and I'm talking about a small village and in Ladakh, of course, I'll be putting up a post. But if I am talking about a person's story, instead of being generic, I think I would like to, if I have met somebody from the village, I would like to record their story, either written or maybe a video. Videos work. So putting that into a video, asking them to talk about the place, I think that would work very nicely. For instance, I met, when I was in Ladakh this time, there were two people who were with me on the, during the whole holiday. There was a mountain climber as well as a mountain biker, and rather a bouldering enthusiast. Now, they gave me very realistic stories. There was the drivers who were driving us are people who spend 3 to 4 months in Siachen in the winter, guiding the it's not just tourists, but they guide the soldiers themselves because they know their way on ice. So those kind of stories, I think, telling those kind of stories, I think is very important. For instance, again, another example I'd like to give is in Japan, you have a trail. It's the Michinoku Trail. The Michinoku Trail is a beautiful trail. It's very picturesque. It is a great hiking trail. You can do it over about 5 to 6 days. And that becomes a lovely adventure experience for anyone traveling to Japan. But what are you highlighting when you do the Michinoku Trail? You are also bringing forth stories of the earthquakes that have hit that region, the tsunamis that have hit that region, and therefore bringing out stories of resilience, because the people of that region are building things and putting their life back together. Travelers, we all, I think, have realized they want to go beyond what is the common thing right now. They want to go beyond the norm. And I think this is the opportunity, therefore, to show them these special places, to show them these experiences. I mean, of course, if you want them to know of these places, over tourism is another thing that we can actually, get into. It's a huge conversation. But yeah, so I think we have to be careful also of the way and whom we're telling the story to, who this is appealing to. Structure. Structure, I would say, is something, I don't want to go into details of it. It is just that something, I think it's like, how you write an essay. You have a beginning, you have a middle, you have an end. You need to keep in mind structure, I think, when you are in a live discussion, when you're doing an Insta live, or if you're doing a story or a reel. I think instead of just putting in something that is beautiful, we need to structure our content properly so that we know, so that travelers have the right framework within which they are understanding a particular experience or a particular story. Now, storytelling. Storytelling is, of course, in every culture. It's part of it's a way of communication. And I think we need to start using this as a tool to connect with the audience, because at the end of the day, this is what they're going to remember more than just facts. Although giving facts is important, giving the facts, but putting those facts in a nice way is what remains in someone's mind. In fact, there is research that supports this. Dopamine is released. This promotes memory. So more areas of the brain are engaged with a story than when a brain has to process just facts. It becomes more relatable with their own experiences or thoughts, opinions, ideas, etc. And what supports this more is that consumers use emotions more than plain information when they are measuring you up. When they are considering your brand, they are using emotions. But it isn't just about good storytelling. It's about relevance also, and how the brand uses it and integrates it into the content marketing strategy. Now, integrating storytelling in your strategy, how can you single out a signature story that embodies your brand the best? The answer lies in differentiation. You need to, how do you stand out? You need to identify cultural aspects, environmental aspects that travelers might not know about, but that could influence their travel decisions as well. So in order to identify your best stories, you start by, say, taking a destination and assessing its key points, its key assets, the people, adventures, cultural traditions, environment, food, etc. Then you attach a human narrative to each of these experiences by, you try to profile a main character, someone the audience can immediately relate to and develop a shared connection with. You give it a voice, or that person could be you. You have experienced something, you are able to tell a story, you are able to be authentic, and therefore you become relatable. Now, of course, photos, a great photo, this quote says, a great photo should be the result of a wonderful experience, not the reason to go. Instagram is a visual platform, yes. And a great photograph, of course, will attract people. But I would say it shouldn't just be about a great photo. Your caption, what you say in that caption. I think, how in advertising, you have a catchphrase, you have a catch line. Maybe that first line can be something really catchy, and then you put in the story. But it is important to portray that. You don't just take a popular place, okay, for instance, in Peru, you have your Rainbow Mountains. Just putting a photo of the Rainbow Mountains, although will attract a lot of people and a lot of likes, but is that what you want? Do you just want those likes? Do you just want those followers? Or do you want a particular kind of traveler to be engaging with you? That is what makes the difference. So if you're putting up a photograph, you need to be careful what kind of photograph. Sometimes you have your own personal photographs, when they say organic content, something that is coming, it might not be the best quality, but I do believe that if you have a caption supporting it, it might not have the most beautiful sunset or the most beautiful moonrise or whatever it is, but if you have the right caption supporting that image, then you will appeal to the right kind of customer. especially if you are doing something related to transformative travel. And then just to quickly put it out there, I do believe heart, that is being humble, engaged, awake, resilient, and thankful. This is one of the sets of principles that any transformative design works on. Why I feel keeping this in mind is important for the team, for you when you're creating your posts, because we need to understand that we might be an authority on something, but being humble when you write that post will help people relate to you better, because you can't afford to sound preachy. You know, we need to be engaged and awake with our audience. We need to pay attention to what the audience is going through and try to appeal to that mindset so that they are able to make choices based on what they're seeing on our Instagram feed. And resilient and thankful. Being resilient is being willing to ready to embrace challenge and disorientation. What I mean by when I say being resilient, it is one, of course, accepting all sorts of criticism that might come your way for a particular post, as Pooja has already touched upon. But also, of course, bringing out stories of resilience, your own, the destination's own, a community's own, and helping helping a traveler relate to that resilience. Because I think resilience is a very it's a very important part of any sort of decision right now, especially keeping the pandemic in mind. And of course, thankful. I think we just need to have that mindset of being grateful for the fact that we have followers, that we have people who are coming to our Instagram, that are engaging with us. They're taking their time to engage with us. These points are important. If we go with a thankful mindset and a grateful mindset, we become a little more thoughtful about our audience and about what we are promoting as well. And that's it. So, yeah, I am not going to go into any more details now. Actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, when we are promoting travel, when we are putting Instagram together and we're doing all these wonderful things to create followership and all of that, we also have to, I think, somewhere be mindful about when users sit on Instagram. Do we want to be part of that, where we are pushing them to constantly stay addicted? Because it is an addiction. You're addicted to dopamine, right? That is, I mean, can be a completely different conversation, but I just wanted to put it out there that while we're all after creating beautiful stories and a beautiful Instagram account, we also need to be mindful about our audience, give them an opportunity. I think, you know, using the link trees and connecting your content to blogs and stuff like that takes their mind away from just scanning through images and going and reading, taking the effort to actually read. So that is, of course, like I said, another conversation, but I wanted to put it out there for you all to think about. All right, I'm done. Raj, over to you.
Wow, thanks a lot, guys. I mean, that was really insightful. I think you know, we really went into the nuts and bolts, and also on the transformational travel side. And I like that last part a lot, about how do we also become responsible and not make people addicted to this whole social media thing, right? While still trying to achieve what we're trying to achieve. And I think that is also some sort of responsible side of business that we can do. You know, I don't know what the answer to that would be. I mean, that might be one of the first few questions that might come out. I have a few questions of my own, but if other people have some questions, we'll probably take those questions first, and then I have a few questions for both Nishant and Pooja. Anybody, please just jump in. Comments, questions, whatever. Amit looks ready.
You put me on the spot, man. All right, let me try. No, so for people who are starting Instagram actively, you know, people who've been passive voices on Instagram, how long does it take to really build a presence? And how do you measure whether you're going in the right direction? Like for some people, 1,000 good followers are solid, right? And for some people, 10,000 good followers aren't enough. So how do you measure that you're on the right path?
I can take that. So yes, you're right. I mean, it's very important to ask, how much is enough, or, how many followers do I want? And that answer is, you'll get that answer if you actually ask about the size of your audience or your customers. Because if you're talking about a niche, then you don't have a lot of people, and there's no point in having 100,000 followers if you're a niche, and if only, say, the size of your audience is, for example, say 10,000 in a particular country, then there's no point in trying to get 100,000. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's very important to say, it's my niche, it's a niche, and this is the amount of followers I want. And once you've established that, yes, it takes time. However, you can reach your audience and gain followers faster by doing Instagram campaigns, by putting out stories and trying to boost it, and running campaigns. But organically, I would say, it takes at least 1.5 to 2 years if you want to organically come to the 10,000 mark. But yes, it is possible. At least at this moment, it's possible on Instagram, because it is still an organic platform as compared to Facebook, which is completely inorganic. You don't even reach your own followers on Facebook, but Instagram is a good platform. Shobha has a question. How to choose from which media we derive what? Insta for higher reach, LinkedIn for more corporate. Yes, Shobha. Instagram is more a B2C platform. It is more to connect with your customers, your consumers, rather than and also a direct communication platform. It's not a B2B platform. Although you may find some businesses, and you can in fact do good targeting of businesses as well on Instagram, but still good to keep the communication very B2C. But LinkedIn is a good platform to connect with industry colleagues, to connect with the travel community, to connect with corporate. And I think that the communication also has to be tailored that way. If you put the same communication that you put on Instagram on LinkedIn, it is not going to work. If you're talking about a destination, and if you're talking about what are the things to do in the destination, and you put that on LinkedIn, it will not work. LinkedIn, I think, should be about people's story, about the community, about your best practices in the COVID times, for instance, your hygiene practices, your cleanliness practices. Those are the things that will work on LinkedIn. But of course, if you're going to talk about, say, something that a corporate can do, like an offsite and things like that, that will work. And that may not necessarily work on Instagram. So it is important to understand what you want to talk about in every platform, because you have a certain kind of people on that platform. And also they're sort of, although a person may be on Instagram and LinkedIn both, they are tuned to look at something else on Instagram, or find something else on Instagram and something else on LinkedIn. So
Right.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
All right, I got a question. I got two, in fact. I'll put both of it out there so that you can answer it one by one. The first thing is, both Facebook and Instagram now have the shop, right? I mean, can this be used for travel? I always find a little problem with, quantities and God knows what. I mean, that usual product shops have. And I don't know if there's a way to use this for travel. So that's one question that I had. The other one was,
yeah,
go ahead.
go on. Sorry. Okay.
All right. All right, go
So
ahead. Then I'll ask the
Facebook,
next one.
yeah. Facebook shops are available for everyone, but however, Instagram is not available on India as yet. And they just opened shops for a select few people who have probably applied through influence. And I think that this is largely because of the rules, the governing rules of India itself. And I think, if I'm not wrong, Nepal, you can have shops. You can have shops in Nepal, you can have shops in Bangladesh and other countries, but you still cannot have shops in India, Instagram shops. Actually, not a bad idea. If it does open up on Instagram, it would be a good idea to have that on, tag the product, because at the end of the day, although it's a service, it's still in some sense you are kind of selling an experience, or it is kind of commoditized. You can commoditize it and say that this is, you could put a picture of a room and just tag the room and say that the room, this cottage starts at 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees. And it's not a bad idea, because that immediately sort of tells the person who's seeing the post that, okay, this, I can afford this, or I can't afford this. And if they can afford it, they could probably just go and make the booking right away. So it will drive revenue if and when it opens up to India, and it's anyway open in other countries. Yeah.
Mhm. All right, thanks a lot. I mean, the next question I had was actually regarding Instagram and share, because I mean, using how important is sharing on Instagram, right? I mean, because as corporates, sometimes we use Regran to share content that is there, and but when you use sharing mechanisms, it usually doesn't share the carousel very well. Yeah, like you said, that's very nice, but it doesn't share that very well, and it doesn't share videos very well. And so the more important ones, it doesn't share anyways. So I mean, how important is that? Is the other question I had. Actually, I have one more question after that.
Okay. So I think, yeah, reposting. I think you're referring to reposting.
Yeah, reposting, not share.
Yeah,
Reposting.
reposting, I think, is very important, and I'm surprised why Instagram hasn't brought that feature on its own platform, and why we need to use third parties for those things. But yes, it would be good to use a pro version of a Regrand rather than a free version. That would kind of make it more easy and seamless when you, especially for, like you said, carousels. When you have a carousel post that you want to repost, you go on to Regrand, and you have the pro version. It allows you to send all of the pictures
Okay.
together at one go. So, but yes, I think that reposting is good, because like I was talking about previously in my presentation, it is a good way to start a communication. It is a good way to connect with someone, or your partners, or even your customers. For instance, if a customer has posted about your product, you can always repost saying that thanks for the post, and it's really nice and I love reading it. And that's a good way of posting. In fact, what we do a lot of times for a few of our hotel clients is we take a post from 2019 or 18 and we repost it saying that, we miss you. You posted about us, you were here, and we miss you. And we've noticed that people are suddenly, oh, wow, yes, I remember. I loved it there. I'm going to plan my trip again soon. So it's a great way of getting back in touch with people who have traveled with you, or who've stayed with you, or use your products.
Wow, that's an excellent point. Okay, last question from my side before I shut up. Balancing the random posts with the scheduled posts, right? I mean, this has been a little problematic in one of the businesses that we've been running, because we used a person to do the social media campaigns, and she runs a scheduler, obviously, pretty much like what you said, over a few months. I mean, she's got the schedules down. And then how do you balance that with, I mean, I'm also an admin, and sometimes I find something really cool and I just want to push it in, and I say, I mean, this is right now. But how much should you balance? Because I also read somewhere, and I could be wrong here, that, if you overdo your post, people start unfollowing you. Yeah. If you post too often. And that can be a problem too, right? Because, they don't want to listen too much from you either. They don't want you to flood their feeds. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, so I think that I'll approach this in two ways. One is, if you're going to post more than once, or even if you're going to post 4 or 5 times a day, it is important for you to post content that your customers will value, so then they will not unfollow you. Because if you're giving them something that is interesting, rather than just talking about yourself, or pushing out offers, or talking just about your product, but if you're actually talking about, say, a destination, or you're talking about an interesting story, or you're relating something really of value to them, they will not unfollow you. In fact, they will keep coming back to you for more. So it is good to do more than one post. In fact, I would say 3 to 4 posts a day on Instagram is a good way to organically grow, because you're getting that many impressions, and in different times of the day you're trying to capture different people who log in at that time. One. And two, sorry, what was the second question that you talked about? Yes, the scheduling, right? Scheduling
Yeah.
versus the spontaneous. I wouldn't say that it is good to schedule 3 months, 4 months in advance. I would say 15 days. Every 15 days, curate the content, put it out there, schedule it, because that way you're consistent. You know that even if you're going to be caught up for a day or two in between, your posts are going out and you're not missing out. But at the same time, doing it 3 months, 4 months in advance is not a good idea, because you don't know what the trends are. You don't know if you're relevant, because social media is changing every day. So good to do it 15 days, but also maybe a spontaneous post every day. You have something to share every day spontaneously. That is also good. So that way you can maintain that balance, and you can also say that on days when I'm caught up and I don't have time to spend on social media, my posts are anyway going out. But what that also does is very important, to see that it's not just about putting your post there and just keeping quiet. It's also going back and having a conversation. It's also going back and checking out what other people are doing, responding, commenting, sharing it on stories. So if you have your post scheduled out for 15 days, you actually have that free time to do these other things, which are also very important to build your brand on social media.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Anybody else?
You're on mute, I think.
Diana, you're shaking your head, trying to run away from the spotlight, are you? Uttara, maybe? No?
You're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute. Uttara,
This is a very difficult one for me. I mean, I'd like to do it for my business, but I live in China. My business is in China. And almost everything is blocked. And even with a VPN, I may be able to access on a good network once a week, especially I'm in a Tibetan region. So with that situation in mind, how to use social media at all and get, mileage with business and exposure, and because interesting stories I have, like, truckfuls from experiences of travel there, both mine, my clients, my guides. But this is my particular problem.
I think it'd be best to, yes. I think it, sorry, yes, yes,
hire
Raj,
Pooja.
please.
There you go. Just hire Pooja. Just hire Pooja, Uttara. She'll sort it out for you.
What?
I was going to say that too.
Pooja, you have announced it.
Well, I was going to say that you should find someone outside of the country where you could get them to do your posts, and create a brief so that they understand your product and what you want to talk about, and have a weekly call or a fortnightly call to see that it's going as per what you want, because it's very important. If you're not able to sort of keep track of what's happening, you might also sort of lose control on the narrative. So it's important to sort of keep in touch with whoever's doing it and get that out there.
WhatsApp is the only one that works.
Oh, I see. Oh. Wow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else got questions?
No, I'd love to have a question, but I've just realized how much my whole system needs working.
Okay, could I ask Pooja a quick question?
Go ahead,
Sadhana
Sadhana.
here. Yeah. Pooja, how effective do you think these campaigns are for increasing your, client or follower base in Instagram? Because I've tried it in Facebook and I think largely it's not very useful. I mean, the kind of people who come in on the, paid campaigns for getting more clients is not the type that I was really looking for. So
do you think it will be effective at all in Instagram, or you should just build it organically?
Campaigns are good way of building an audience, but yes, like you said, it's very important to reach to the right people, and for that, the right filters on the campaigns are necessary to to say that, you know, I want to reach a person who values certain principles, or who values certain ideas, and does certain things or behaves a certain way. Because when we do a little broad targeting, yes, you do get a lot of very weird people onto your follower base, and you don't want that. And but campaigns are can only help you to a certain extent. The best way to do it is to do influencer marketing, to identify people who share your values and who have good following, and also not fake following, very importantly. One way to check if they have a fake following is to go to Social Blade. You can just put their handles on Social Blade and see if it is fake or if it is organic followers, and sign up and work with them, and collaborate with them, get them to share your stories. You could even get them to put out a post saying follow this person because they have really good content or they have a really good product. So campaigns are good, but I think that the effectiveness over a long time will come with influencer collaboration for followers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There's something I wanted to bring up. I don't know, it's not a question for anybody in particular, it's for all of us. Now we are talking about transformational travel, and we want to spread the word. We want more and more people to understand it and kind of adopt that kind of mindset, right? Now, if we have a particular target audience, these are people who kind of are already there. I mean, of course, they're more interested in learning about it. But if our idea is to kind of create more people with that kind of mindset, then that's where my dilemma comes in, you know, about focusing only on the target audience and keeping the followers only as those many. I mean, I prefer that. I would want a smaller number of quality following. But at the same time, my thought is I want other people to understand through my posts, through the content I'm creating. I want them to understand what transformational travel is all about, that they can, by changing the way they think and the way they travel, there can be true change in the world. Then what do we do? You know, because those are the people who are not following, who we are not proactively targeting, but those are the people who need to start changing their mindset also. So what does one do in that case? This is my dilemma.
I can chime in there. I think there's the whole idea of lookalike audience, which Pooja was referring to. But I think it's also, I think, you know, once we start influencing at least 1,000 followers, right? I think since you're working with psychology and not demographics, what also happens is they will tell their friends because they're probably more, they have mindful friends who work with them. And I think the viral loop that kicks in at that stage, you know, it's people start referring the idea to their friends and then takes it forward. I think that could be one way in which it will organically spread if the message is sound and, you know, the thoughts are solid. But Pooja can add to that maybe.
Yeah, to add to it, I think also it's important that you break down your message and not keep it cerebral, because I think that the cerebral conversations can only be understood by a certain few, and they're already following you. But if you want that message to get out to the masses and you want more people to understand, I think that you need to break it down and make it really, you know, simple, silly. That is one way of doing it, and I think that videos are the best way. Reels, people are now hooked onto reels, so you catch them there, but you keep it so simple and so silly that it just goes right into them. So I think that is the way to kind of get to a larger audience and to spread the message across.
Thank you.
I think Pooja has really hit a really important point out there. I think the rule of thumb out there is to keep your communication at 7th grade level. That's the rule of thumb. I mean, unfortunately, as we get more and more technical, we start to get more and more, jargons into our conversations, which nobody understands. Yeah, and except only a select few will understand when we are talking about it. I mean, if you can break it down to something a seventh grader can understand, then you've really hit the nail on the head in terms of communication, and that can really spread really fast. So, I mean, in terms of getting transformational travel into the masses, and I totally understand you, Nishant. I mean, I think for Socialtours here in the company as well, I mean, the social media is not just for bringing in business. So we're not trying to only reach out to people that we want business from. We also want to overall change, the perception of how travel should be, right? And I think that goes out to a larger audience. So we want to be a bit more inclusive than selective of who should be following us. But that also comes with that dilemma that you're talking about and how to communicate. And yeah, I think both Amit and Pooja probably hit the nails on the head on how to probably achieve that. One is through your little niche, spreading it out, and other is by simplifying so others can also reach in. I think that both the ways can work, really. It's gone horribly quiet now. So it looks like we're probably getting to the end of it. And we've just reached an hour and a half. I mean, a little less because we started a bit late. But yeah, I think I would like to say a very big thank you to Pooja and Nishant for putting in the time for this. Pro bono, I must say, so all volunteer work. And it's always good to spread out good news. So that's all what transformational travel is all about. And to get more people into the tribe to understand the real nuts and bolts of how to take these things forward. Um, I'll be I'll be putting out a small questionnaire. I actually have that ready with me here somewhere, and it's on it's on Forms, Google Forms, and it's just a small link. I'll just put that out in the chat, so if people can just put in that feedback, we can look at how we can improve on this and take it forward. That might be a good mechanism. Sorry, I didn't do that when you did the thing, Amit. Uh, this idea just struck me today, so sorry about that. When it should have been simple enough to do it. But here's a small link that is on Google Forms. It's a very short one. Tries to find out any sort of constructive stuff to move forward, and also some more ideas. Anything that you want to put in that will help us take it to the next layer of nuts and bolts for transformational travel. Maybe that'll happen in a couple of weeks or about a month from now. That depends on who's going to volunteer and which expert we're going to find to take this forward. So yeah, if anybody's got any last questions, but otherwise I'll have to say thank you very much.
Raj,
Yeah.
I clicked on the form saying file unavailable.
Oh, really? How's that
Yep.
possible? It's already here. So what am I
That's
doing?
saying that
It tells me you
we
need permission.
Yeah, we need permission.
Okay, hang on a second. So that must be a share. Just keep on talking a little bit, guys. I'll just get this sorted out.
Can't hear you, Uttara.
May I ask a question since we're still talking? From all of you, who's had the most successful or satisfying feedback in terms of real business from Instagram?
I don't know. I mean, Pooja should be able to answer that question for her. But we actually look at Instagram and LinkedIn and all of this as a huge awareness generation enterprise. I think, and also because we are B2C, we are B2B, and we are only now moving slowly towards B2C. I think whatever Pooja laid out, and she does all of it for us, and I see that I mean, almost I'm at the airport and people say, oh, we follow you, or somebody will call up, or you call up somebody saying, we want to co-brand with you. In the last I think 1 year, 1.5 years, I think there's been less and less instances where people say, oh, really, is that your company? I've never heard about it. In fact, I hear the reverse now. People saying, oh, whenever anybody asks us if you do you want, we want an offbeat or we want an experiential holiday, we recommend to people go check on rareindia.com. So I look at it like that. I mean, also now we are doing selling on, we're putting pricing and things like that. So Pooja can tell you if that really converts. But there is a lot of, there's huge awareness. I mean, huge awareness generation. I think that's what.
Interestingly, up until the pandemic, I think, like Shobha said, Instagram particularly has been a very awareness-driven platform for high-ticket companies, services, or products. So if you're, say, selling at more than 7,000-8,000 a night, it was very difficult to generate business directly from Instagram. But it has changed, and I think it is because of the pandemic. People are online, and people are not really able to go out there and connect with sit with a travel agent and get the itinerary sorted. What's happening is that luxury travel is also moving to online space, and people are so comfortable just booking 15,000 a night, 10,000, 20,000 a night property online. And I've seen this happening. To not name a client, in fact, there was an inquiry that came in on their Instagram handle for the patina in Maldives, and they confirmed the business. They found out about the company on Instagram. They left an inquiry saying, "We're interested. Can you help us?" And the person said, "This is our number." They called and they confirmed. So yes, it happens. But like I said, it's important to sort of be present there when they're asking you that question, when they're sort of interested, because they're also asking other people, not that they're only asking you. Surprisingly enough, although we keep talking about loyal customers are really, really disloyal on the internet, on social media. They follow multiple brands, and they are always looking out for the best deals or the best solutions for their problems. And if you don't give them the solution right then and then, they'll go to someone else. So it's important to sort of be really spontaneous and answer and get in touch with them. And but you can definitely have business coming from Instagram.
Great. Thanks so much, Pooja. Thank you. Thanks all.
Thanks, guys. That was really, really good. And I think the feedback form is working now. And guys, I'll send you the feedback once it comes to me. I think it'll come to me. And thank you again. Thanks so much for everyone to be here, and especially to Pooja and Nishant. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks so much.
Thanks
very
everyone.
much.